What is the timing of a decent Roach Ravager max out? I don't know. Let's just do that now because people ask that question all the time, but I almost never think about the game in that way because you get harassed. And the time that you max out depends pretty heavily upon when you get harassed. And another point too would be, are you cutting corners for this max out, or are you doing it in a responsible and solid way where you account for different cheeses? The problem is, when I just thrown to 66, they pressure you with something. If I just make army, I don't win the eco race. Basically, when to stop droning and make some roaches in the beginning. What you have just asked is the golden question of Zerg. And if that was easy to answer, then Zerg would be super easy to play. And you wouldn't have to watch streams to figure out how to learn the game. And that means I would be out of a job, okay? It's really tough. That question will continue to be asked through GM and beyond. How do I know how much to drone? A question that Zerg players have pondered since before StarCraft 1 was a video game. Okay, so I'm gonna just try and do a rough Roach Ravager max out and see what the time is, because I have no idea. I'm gonna do a standard build and we'll do a ZVP build. This is a Zerg versus Protoss example max out. So the first Overlord goes across the map and then goes to the safe spot. Second Overlord checks for cannons. 18 gas. Pool placement here so that we can put a spine there in case it's proxy gateway zealots. Look at how snug the spine would be. You could also put a spire there too, later on, if you wanted to. So we're just gonna play a really safe standard build. Catch first. If you want to be super safe, you could send a worker down here just to check. Double, triple check for probes. It's not that important to get every single mineral out. You're probably gonna float money anyway. Get a 20 Overlord rallied to the third base. Now that I've ruled out Cannon Rush, this Overlord is going to go look at one of the lanes into my base. The pool is done. 4 lings to push the probe off the third, and 2 queens. 96, pull one off. 100, pull another off. Get ling speed, and then we're droning. Drone, 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 drone. It should be fast. It should be snappy. The reason you're losing is not because you're making the wrong unit composition, it's because your droning is really slow. So the lings push the probe off the third. We can send a drone over to the third. Get off the third, silly probe. Okay, once they push the probe off the third, creep to the natural, inject the main. They go back to defend because the first adept can show up pretty soon. And then now I'm gonna make up to 10 lings, so I can beat 2 adepts. You can look at the wall with this Overlord. You want to spend your money into drones, and then when you run out of larvae, you make queen. Drones with your larvae, try not to be supply blocked. Queen with your surplus minerals. Drones with your larvae as fast as you can without being supply blocked. So the queens will fight the adept at the front, the lings chase the shade. Still droning. Let's say we send in the Overlord. You could send it in at 3 minutes. It's pretty good. Sometimes there's a stalker, but it's often worth it to see what's in the base. We're floating a little bit of money, so I'm gonna make a queen. Okay, let's say it's Stargate with a chrono boosted Oracle. That's 335 or so spores. If it's a couple seconds late, it's not a huge deal. You can use 2 queens to block. 2 queens will block an Oracle. Making sure I'm not supply blocked. I'm trying to fill vision around my base. Every time I float a little bit of mineral, I make another queen. 4 minutes or so is a pretty reasonable time to take a lair. Let's take a lair. Keep the creep spread going. We want the bases connected with creep. Let's get a Roach Warren. You could take the Roach Warren a little bit early in this. It depends on what the opponent's opening was. If it's a Stargate opening, it doesn't have to be the fastest Roach Warren of all time. If it is the Zealot all in, it does need to be pretty fast. The queens should also be in the mineral line next to the spores, so they can work together against Phoenix Harass, Oracle Harass, shit like that. Making 2 overlords now because our economy is really ramping up. Gonna fill the gas. Look at that. The mineral count of the natural was 20 before I filled the gas. That's good, because we want mostly mineral stuff right now. Roaches are more minerals than gas. Queens are more minerals than gas. Lings are more minerals than gas. Hatches are more minerals than gas. Spores are more minerals than gas. Do you see the point? Saturate your minerals first, fam. Stop taking your gases way too early. It's silly. 63. Look at our gas is ramping up a little bit. Let's make a more gassy unit. There's a Hydroden. I have 4 queens on a hotkey right now. These can defend the prism, but if I pull my queens, I should make new queens. Alright. Roach Ravager max out was the question, so I don't need to make Hydras on this. I want to see how fast we can max out. Taking this one. Alright. How fast can we max out? We spread creep. We make some stuff. And we need a heap of overlords now. Let's make an overseer. Your units can attack rocks while they wait. It's a good activity so they don't get too bored. Queen, spread creep. And then after, they get a move command rally back to a safe zone. See how I'm floating gas? We can make a round of Ravagers. Spin the gas. So this is without cutting corners, really. Making 4 defensive queens. This can stop prism and stuff. A nice place to put the prism, or sorry, put the queens if you know it's prism play, is put them in the main. Roach Ravager at the 3rd base. The safest stance right now would be Roach Ravager is kind of between the natural and the 3rd, and the queens are in the main. How many people have died to Zealots being warped into the main? Yeah, it sucks. But if your queens are in the main, then the warp prism zooms in, and they go into warp mode, and you kill it, and you're a boss. The warp prism did get nerfed some. It's very strong, but it's also very fragile. We're spreading creep. Money is getting up there, so I'm going to take a 4th base. Spending the gas, spending the minerals, using the larva. Money is nice and low. 1 more overlord, and then we're up at 200 supply. 4th base camera location control group, +2 attack. Yeah, so neighborhood of like 8 minutes. Neighborhood. You could do it faster than that if you cut corners. But that's about it. And then follow-up tech, if you're against Protoss, Bane Nest, Spire. You can put the Spire in this nice spot here. Even block it off. It's really annoying for Zealots to deal with. Infestation pit so we can get the hive. Hydra upgrades. Kill the rest of the rocks. And if you wanted to harass and stuff, Baneling drop. Baneling drop and Baneling run by. Those are really good moves. And whenever your 4th base is finishing, a good habit to get into is just droning it a little bit. Because usually, if you've taken a Bane Nest, that was a drone that used to be mining for you, but now it's a building. This macro hatch used to be a drone. This Hydroden used to be a drone. This spine used to be a drone. This spire used to as well. So sometimes you can start from a pretty good economy, but then after you've made all your different tech buildings and static defense, suddenly your economy is crap. Well, you didn't realize it because you didn't get attacked. You just had some workers move on to a different stage of their development, being a building. You can defend bases like this, but then you want to drone it a little bit because that brought the economy down. So you get your spire, the hive is going, and you can go greater spire as soon as the hive is done, and go for somewhere between 7 and 10 broodlords, depending on your bank. And you could go for a queen broodlord hydra attack. That's a really good move, and a move that is best if you pull all your queens, because you should have no larva problems with hive tech. You can spend money really fast into hive tech units. Spend larva as well. So we're gonna go greater spire, hydra ups, melee. You can go double evo against Protoss. Usually the attack upgrades are best. Whenever the queens see a new hatchery, the number one thing they want to do is inject it and then push creep in front of it. So they're running over there, they're all excited. Look, it's a 5th base. Hooray. Go visit the 5th base. The army is controlling stuff. You can go for cool run by. Just use the steal command, box some of the units. Attack, shift attack, shift attack. And these units now, they're gonna run around the map. The pathing isn't exactly perfect, but they just go on a little quest to go attack. We don't really want those in the max out anyway, so we can send some guys on offense missions. And yeah, maybe they kill some probes, that would be good. But they're 2 supply each, these roaches, and we don't really want roaches in our max out when we're against carriers, archons, and high templar and stuff. We want broodlords. Broodlords are really good. Hydras are good at mowing down interceptors and things that are hassling your broods, but you don't really want to punch into a Protoss with hydras. They have too many units that are too good against hydras. So hydra is a support unit. It's kind of a stepping stone that gets you from the mid game to the late game and supports your late game units, but it's not the unit that goes and presses into a 4th nexus. People hear about Hydraling Bane being a composition that you can go for against Protoss, but then they go Hydraling Bane and they attack the Protoss army and die. And they say, I don't know what to do. Hydraling Bane is not meant to engage the Protoss army like a YOLO push directly. You can surround them if they go onto creep, and that can be really awesome. But you don't want to just bash into a nexus with a Protoss army next to it with Hydraling Bane. The trade is going to be awful. You want to be stabbing at them with Banelings and defending with your Hydraling Bane on creep. So you can move and watch the minimap and say there's a zealot attack down here. You guys go defend this. There's a zealot attack up here. You go defend this. They're DTs. Let's get some detection, some static. And then I'm trying to get my upgrades, trying to get my broodlords. Could even get a little bit more static to keep the main safe if I wanted to. You can make a few mutas to deal with prism. Yeah, if it gets into a macro game, you should understand how to turn on the gas and reach the objectives for Zerg that are strong. A lot of StarCraft matches involve a lot of downtime between fights. The fights are the most emotionally salient part of the match, the part that we tend to think of first when we are remembering the match, like, oh, that Widow Mine hit, or those storms on my army. And we don't forget the stuff like the 30 supply block that happened, which actually sometimes mortally wounds you and sets you super far behind. But then 15 minutes later we complain about carriers because we lost sight of the real challenge, which is to improve as an individual. There's your crash course in ZVP. Yes, you have been doing it wrong. It's a tricky matchup. It has more variety to it than ZVT. In my opinion, it feels more like a puzzle, but there are some general themes that are consistent. One of them is Protoss can saturate 2 bases faster than Zerg can. 2 base Zerg against 2 base Protoss, Protoss is better, straight up. Another theme, Zerg can saturate 3 bases faster than Protoss can. 3 base Zerg against 2 base Protoss, it can be kind of tough for Protoss. Another theme, because Zerg can saturate 3 bases faster than Protoss, Protoss is pressured to attack the Zerg. They should attack the Zerg with some of their units, with some of their chrono boosts, to force out non-drone units so that the Protoss can keep pace economically and hopefully get ahead. Makes sense? We'll mark it. Hello, YouTube.